Okay, match day 6 of the World Cup did not disappoint. We had 4 matches, 2 broken records, and a nation's first ever World Cup goal. In Dallas, we had England against Croatia, a tie loaded with history, and from the first whistle, it was chaos. 12 minutes in, England won a penalty from a poor Luka Modric foul. Harry Kane steps up to the spot against Livakovic, who's actually like pretty good at penalties. Harry Kane runs up, stutters, goes to his right, and Livakovic saves it. It was an absolutely electric way to start the match. But VAR intervened, saw Livakovic got off his line, and England gets a retry. My whole thing with this is that if penalty kickers take stutters, like I feel like we should be more lenient with the keeper, but the letter of the law says a re kick, so that's what it was. Harry Kane steps up again, and instead of stuttering this time, he runs right up through the ball and buries it 1-0. Despite the unfortunate start, Croatia didn't even flinch. Martin Batarina levels it in the 36th minute with a beautiful strike from outside the box. Pickford gets a hand on it, but it's bending away from him, so it's a tough save to make. And then 6 minutes later, Kane comes back. He gets his second goal of the night and restores the England lead. And with that brace, he equals Gary Lineker's record for the most World Cup goals ever by an England player, 10. He's also now scored at 3 different World Cups, so that puts him in an elite company. I think there are only 25 players who have ever done that. After Kane's second goal, Croatia answered. Small chip pass over the top from Pasalic, I believe. It landed to Perisic, who dinked it backward with his head to Peter Musa, who then struck right before the break. It was such an excellently worked bit of play. I literally got up out of my seat and had to clap my hands because it was so beautiful. And at that moment, I think we're all thinking this could go either way. But then half comes, and whatever Tuchel told the England guys worked, because they start the second half off with the bang. Jude gets the ball on the right flank in the 47th minute, runs down, solo goal, crossbody shot, and Livakovic stands no chance. So it puts him up 3-2. Some would say the defending was a little questionable, but in general, it was a beautifully worked goal by Jude. And basically, from there, England kind of just squeezed the life out of the game. And after being subbed on in the 72nd minute, in the 85th minute, Marcus Rashford put the tie behind them. So it ended 4-2 to England, and they put on a heck of a performance. I would say the story about this game is England's immense firepower. And in the 72nd minute, when you can bring on guys like Rashford, Saka, and I'm forgetting who else they brought on, but like that, it just showed the incredible amount of depth that they have, and if they can manage to somehow stay confident throughout this entire thing and keep their heads about them, there is nothing this team can't do. They are easily one of the most deep teams in the tournament, right alongside France, and I'd argue that their attacking strength is just as good as France's. So, yeah, I think this game kind of showed that too. I think Tuchel will have a lot to say about how the back line performed, but that attacking depth in that midfield depth is literally second to none. So I think that they showed that they are one of the top 2 to 3 sides in this tournament after yesterday's performance. It's just the question is how well will they do when keeping their head about them. Second match we had was in Houston. It was Portugal and the Congo. Portugal being one of the favorites up against DR Congo, a massive underdog. And before kickoff, a piece of history, Ronaldo became the oldest outfield player to ever start a World Cup match. So that was pretty cool to see. And so Portugal started the match like you'd expect the favorites to. Inside 6 minutes, Pedro Neto floated up a nice cross, and João Neves climbed up above everyone and knocked in a header. Portugal in front, 1-0. And for whatever reason, this guy, João Neves, just has the most insane header on him for his height. I legit can't think of a better header of the ball I've seen at someone who is his height. After that goal, the way they started this match, you would have thought that this was just going to be a routine game for them, but it was anything but that. Congo refused to fold, and right at the stroke of halftime, Arthur Masuaku swung a cross in, and Yohan Wissa, the Newcastle man, rose to power home a header. It was stunning, and 1-1. And the scenes after that goal from the Congolese fans were absolutely amazing. It was Congo's first ever World Cup goal, and you could just see how much it meant to the fans. It was truly a beautiful moment to watch. Their first goal in the tournament came 52 years after they made their debut in 1974, so this was a true canon event for the country. The story of the second half was all Portugal's possession and then Congo's resistance. So Ronaldo had his half chances and dragged them off target, and Roberto Martinez's side knocked and knocked, couldn't get the door open. Congo kept the door shut. So the final score was 1-1 for Portugal. I think the story was frustration, and for the DR Congo, it's their first ever World Cup point. So the fans got a moment they'll never forget. The country got a moment they'll never forget, and it was just awesome to see. I think there are 3 major storylines from this match. So the first is how Congo just honestly came to play. They were supposed to be the underdog, and they were the underdog in this match, but you wouldn't have thought that had you watched the entire thing. You would think that after that first goal, they would have just withered and Portugal would have put their foot on the gas, but the team was defiant. They fought back, they didn't take no for an answer, and they put on a beautiful performance after that initial onslaught from Portugal. And Congo actually had moments themselves where they were the more progressive team in the match. They were counterattacking beautifully, and you have to think that if they had a little bit more quality, they could have ended up with 2, 3, maybe even 4 goals in this match. So I was really surprised at how well drilled they were and resilient they were. And it was an awesome match to see how they played against Portugal. I think the second biggest storyline is how Martinez got this entire lineup wrong. I think Neto, Ronaldo, and Silva just aren't a combination that makes much sense to me. I'm not sure what he was thinking. Neto is a runner, Silva likes the ball at his feet, and Ronaldo is going to be a box present at this point in his career. So it's like, where's the creativity coming from? And I think that's kind of the story with their front line. It's like it lacked a lot of ingenuity. In my mind, the perfect lineup would have been probably Leao on the left, Conceição on the right, and you saw how they improved the match. They came in the 60th or 70th minute. So those two on the flanks, and then someone with like a bit more legs, whether it be Ramos, Felix, or Neto as the 9 or false 9. I think for the first 60 to 70 minutes, they just lacked a lot of dynamism in the attacking third. And again, like I said before, it begs the question, like, what is Martinez thinking in that moment? I think the third major storyline is, and it has to be brought up, unfortunately, it was Ronaldo's performance. I think it has to be brought up because after how Messi, Haaland, and Mbappe performed, like we were expecting something from Ronaldo, and even after Kane put on that performance he put on, you would have hoped that Ronaldo would have done a bit more, but he left a lot to be desired. And I know at this point in his career he's just going to be an out-and-out striker, like a box presence, but I don't think he was adding much to the match aside from the short runs that he was making. And I think if you're going to play him that way, the ideal way to play him is to have him as a super sub and to come on in the 60th or 70th minute when you either want to put your foot on the opponent's throat or you need a goal. I think that's like the way to play him now. You bring him off the bench and he will give that injection of firepower that you need in your lineup. And I think at this point he doesn't have the legs to run like he used to. He doesn't have the creativity like he used to. He's just kind of just sitting there as a guy waiting for something to come to him. And if it can come to him, like, yes, he is fully capable of scoring. That'll never go away, but it's not as sharp as it used to be. And we saw that he lacked that sharpness in the second half when he got his 2 chances, one of which he should have left for Bruno too, which is another part of the issue with him is like in that moment you make a run, open up the space for Bruno knocks it in, an open goal, but I think he wanted a bit of the glory. But yeah, I think yesterday a Portugal lineup with another striker has a little bit more teeth and vigor than we saw. So hopefully they figure that out. I think another important thing to mention with this match was the lack of chemistry between Vitinha, Neves, and Bruno Fernandes. Vitinha and Neves obviously have a lot of great connection, but I think they're missing an element of chemistry with Fernandes. And I think it really showed in Bruno's performance. They all performed, outside of Neves, Vitinha and Bruno didn't perform super well, but they all lacked chemistry together in my mind. For me, I think Bruno lacked the ingenuity he typically has, probably because he wasn't getting balls into the positions that he wanted, and 2, because Vitinha and Neves were playing off of each other a lot. I also think part of what made it tough for Bruno was the lack of creativity and runners in the final third too, like we mentioned before. Bruno is at his best when his teammates are moving, making creative runs, and he can just lob balls over the top or he can thread a ball through into one of them. That's the most brilliant part of his game in my mind. And unfortunately, Silva and Ronaldo just aren't at that point in their career, so they're not going to be the right people to play alongside him in my mind. With the Ghana and Panama match, I'll be honest, I didn't watch this one as attentively as I did the first 2 because I was working on a couple other things. But from what I saw, the Ghana and Panama match was tight, intense. It was the type of game where one moment defines everything that happened. And this is actually the story of the game. That moment came in stoppage time when Caleb Yarinki, I believe is his name, last gasp, Ghana snatches it 1-0. And it was kind of heartbreak for Panama after they played pretty tight and steady the entire match. But from what I saw and from what I watched, very, very fun game. Just a lot of chaos and that one moment of a little more clinicism, and Ghana took it at that time. Unfortunate for Panama. With Colombia and Uzbekistan, we had this match in the Azteca, or at the Azteca in Mexico City. Colombia got the Luis Díaz show against the Uzbekistan side, making their World Cup debut. And I'll be honest, I didn't watch this entire match either because I fell asleep. But it was a weird one from most of what I watched. I think Colombia, for as good as they are, kind of underperformed a bit, and Uzbekistan played much better than most probably expected. Daniel Munoz opened it up before the break, finishing off a slick team move teed up by Lucho. And then Uzbekistan also got their first World Cup goal, stunned them at the 1 hour mark from, I'm forgetting exactly how to pronounce this guy's name, but I want to say it was Fazulayev with a tap in to make it 1-1. So it was kind of back and forth for the first 60 minutes if you watch intensely. Uzbekistan was strong at the back, and Colombia was trying to make some forward moves, but it just wasn't connecting very well for them. But after the 60th minute, Uzbekistan equalized, but it wouldn't last very long because in the 65th minute, Lucho got his first ever World Cup goal and makes it 2-1. So, and another part is at the death in the 98th minute on the counter, Hamilton Campas sealed it and made it 3-1 for Colombia, which is huge for goal differential in this tournament. Lucho, man of the match, got his goal and assist, and Colombia is top of the group right now. So that was match day one for today or for yesterday. England endured through a thriller. Ronaldo's Portugal held to a historic draw against Congo. Ghana stole the match late against Panama, and Colombia sent a message. So tune in for more World Cup breakdown. We'll get to some of the matches today because today, June 18th, is a huge match for some of these groups, or huge match day for these groups. So it'll be exciting. All right, cheers, guys.